I am sure most of you are already aware that the big thing in the celeb news today is Cardi B. Cardi B won over a $4 million lawsuit against a YouTuber. Now, this particular article you're looking at here is on NBCnews.com. I just did a quick Google search, and this is the first one that came up, and so I just went with it. But this vlogger claimed that Cardi B contracted herpes and had taken hard drugs. Okay, now I've read a lot about this today, reading comments here and there, blah, 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 and this seems to be a very controversial thing right here. Is this freedom of speech, or is this defamation and slander? Well, it depends on how this YouTube vlogger presented these things to her viewers. There's where this problem comes in for people like me. YouTube vloggers, social media in general, YouTube, Facebook, it doesn't matter. When we do these sorts of things and we speak out to our viewers, we have to be very, very careful how we say things. We can't just come out and say things and act like we know it's a fact, okay? We have, if we want to use our freedom of speech right, we would have to say something along the lines of, she probably, or she may have, or in my opinion. You will hear a lot of YouTubers go with the whole in my opinion kind of thing. You can't just straight out say this happened unless you got damn solid proof that you can back that up. And even if you can back that up, it could still fall in the lines of character assassination and slander. So we have to be super careful about how we present things to our viewers. That is why the majority of the time, I will just let you guys know what the news is reporting. And sometimes I will say, in my opinion. But you got to be very, very careful. Now, there has been several YouTubers that has been slapped for lawsuits for this very thing. Some are still ongoing. Some I even know. And of course, I'm not going to mention any names here, but most of you know the ones I'm talking about in the true crime community. This is not uncommon. It's really not. Like, we all know channels, YouTubers, etc., that could be slapped with these sorts of lawsuits, right? But here's the thing. Most people does not have the means to actually follow through with the lawsuits that they could. They actually could. But when you're doing these sort of lawsuits, it costs a lot of money. You have to have attorneys, filing fees, court costs, all kinds of things. Upfront money is to be wrapped up before you will even have your day in court to see if you win or lose the lawsuit. Okay? Of course, we all know Cardi B. She could very well do this, and she did, and she won. She paid nearly $3 million in punitive damages and attorney's fees. Also, that comes on top of a $1.25 million that the jurors awarded her Monday after finding that the YouTuber was liable on accounts of defamation, invasion of privacy, and infliction of emotional distress on Cardi B. Cardi B filed this lawsuit in 2019, and she claimed that this YouTuber had started a campaign of making defamatory statements about the rapper to promote her celebrity gossip website for her personal gain. One of her videos in 2018 claimed that Cardi B's then unborn child may have intellectual disabilities because she prostituted for a living, got herpes, and took Molly and cocaine. This lawsuit also accused the YouTuber of claiming on Instagram that Cardi B was just a Grammy-nominated prostitute running around spreading her herpes, and said the YouTuber had actually become obsessed with slandering the plaintiff. In the last 14 months, the YouTuber has put out at least 23 videos regarding Cardi B. Okay, this was a federal jury in the Northern District of Georgia where the YouTuber lives. They awarded $1 million to cover Cardi B's pain and suffering, reputational damage, as well as another $250,000 for medical expenses. Also, the jurors ordered the YouTuber to pay an additional $1 million in punitive damages and her company to pay another $500,000 on top of that. And the YouTuber is required to reimburse Cardi B for the personal cost of bringing the lawsuit. This is all at a total of $1,338,753.47. So that brings the total verdict to nearly $4.1 million, as confirmed by Cardi B's lawyer. Now, the attorney that represented the YouTuber in the case issued a statement to Variety that we disagree with the verdict and we will be filing an appeal. Now, here you're going to see the response that Tasha K, the YouTuber, gave about having to pay this $4 million to Cardi B.
The verdict on Monday was no shock to myself, my husband, or my legal team. We were prepared for this challenge from the beginning. Prepared for as we said. We called bluff against a machine that wanted to bully me for not wavering from my personal beliefs. A machine that has interest to protect prostitution, drug use, promiscuity, and to glorify the violence that wreaks havoc on our society and in our neighborhoods. It's sold to our children as the it. This machine secured an extremely prejudicial verdict against myself and my company solely off of sympathy and payola. Asking me to the real reason as to why I was reporting on the issues at hand and succeeded in making me out to be an angry and malicious woman. My platform creates news and sheds light on the issues going on in our society. My First Amendment poses a threat to the machine's sole intention to mislead the public with caricatures built on violence, selling sex, and images of a denounced stereotype. My First Amendment painted to the public and courts as a bully, vile, and malicious towards a machine that glorifies a lifestyle meant to serve as modern-day genocide on our people. A machine that influences our children on how to kill, sell their bodies, and more. You can't bully someone or something that takes pride in painting our children and teaching our children to be degenerates. And if you are a public that pushes this image and this lifestyle for likes and views and a way to make money in our society, then I and we have the duty to exercise our First Amendment right as traditional media and new age digital media analysts to say, no, this ain't it. This is not defamation or invasion of privacy when these machines have pushed this lifestyle on us for profit. New age digital media, myself, and traditional media, we exercise our First Amendment right to publish our opinions and facts concerning these caricatures of stereotypes pushed in our homes and into our society, and we are just supposed to accept it because there's money on the table? No, absolutely. Our First Amendment right was intentionally hindered from the moment the case was filed. I know y'all maybe think this is over, but no, this is just the beginning. I will spend as many years as I protect our right to voice our opinions and facts on these images that are sold and pushed on us. My case will set up future media, and we intend to fight until the truth is out.
Now, this is very important information for any YouTube creator, vlogger, social media, whatnot. Really anyone, not even just that, anyone. Okay, defamation of character or free speech, which is it? Okay, the First Amendment right protects free speech, but when an untrue statement causes real harm, defamation laws and constitutional protections can collide. Defamation laws protect people whose careers, reputations, finance, and or health have been damaged by untrue, harmful statements. However, defamation law often intersects with laws protecting the freedom of speech guaranteed by the First Amendment and the U.S. Constitution. So, just as it's important to protect people from the harms that untrue statements can cause, it is also necessary to protect the right to speak freely without fear of reprisal. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to look down just a bit farther, and I'm only going to go through one more little article here. Just so some of you that are kind of unclear on what is the difference between freedom of speech and defamation. So, if the defendant can prove that the statement that he or she made was true, then the defamation case is going to end right there. People cannot be punished for speaking the truth, no matter how ugly or embarrassing that it may be. Truth is always a defense to a claim of defamation. If you make a statement about a matter of public interest, example, a political scandal, it probably will not be considered defamatory. For example, if you tell people that you think that it is true that a local politician took a bribe, when such allegations are all over the local headlines, that is probably protected speech. This is not only an opinion, which is typically protected, but it is also a matter of public concern, allegations of corruption of community officials. A similar example would be criticizing the actions of a school board members when it comes to protecting the students, because free speech, even if it is critical speech, is very encouraged, especially when it comes to issues that are significant to the community. Such statements are not typically considered defamatory. Public officials and public figures have placed themselves in the public eye, and therefore it is more difficult for them to bring a successful defamation claim. And in addition to the things private individuals must prove, public officials and figures must prove that a statement was made with actual malice, meaning that the speaker either knew that the statement was false or acted with reckless disregard to whether it was true or false. This is because the law encourages free speech, especially when it comes to politicians or prominent local figures who have placed themselves in the public eye and can expect more public scrutiny than the average person faces. Celebrities often find themselves the subject of media scrutiny and criticism, but because they are public figures, they would have to prove actual malice to prove that someone defamed them. Sometimes people end up becoming public figures without intending to. An example is someone who has been accused of committing a high-profile crime. So it is important to remember that not everyone chooses to be in the limelight, but nevertheless, those people still may face additional hurdles when it comes to proving they have been defamed. Because the First Amendment issues can provide significant barriers to defamation claims, it is important to consult with an experienced attorney to determine whether you have a viable claim, or on the other side of the defamation lawsuit coin, whether statements you made may be entitled to free speech protection. So just pretty much to sum all of that up, does slander fall under freedom of speech? Defamation has always acted as a limit on both the freedom of speech as well as the freedom of press. There is no such thing as a false opinion or idea. However, there can be a false fact, and those are not protected under the First Amendment. So pretty much it basically says just tell the truth. And if you are stating something that is your opinion or this is the way you see it, make damn sure that you say, this is just my opinion. Now, that's not always going to protect you. You can still be hit with character assassination, defamation, but there again, as I said before, these kind of lawsuits are very lengthy as well as costly. So the majority of the people do not, that they could. Many of them could, but they're not going to follow through with it because they don't have the means to. Before the actual case will ever get to trial, there has been already a lot of money set on the table and have switched hands. That is why many people on YouTube have not been sued even more, in my opinion, is because it's just too expensive. And most people just don't have a couple of $1 million in their bank account to even start such a lawsuit. But there you have it. There is the difference between freedom of speech versus slander and defamation. It all is basically, is it true? And can you prove it's true? Or are you definitely letting people know that this is strictly your theory, your opinion, and it is not fact? And in closing, we're just gonna close with this in case some of you are not completely, clear, because it is very confusing. Okay, defamations, this is a definition and elements. Defamatory statements are false, and they lower a person's reputation in society or expose an individual to hatred, ridicule, or contempt. Now, this table outlines the elements required for a statement to be considered defamatory. Okay, the statement must be false. If the statement is true, it is not defamatory. A defamatory statement must be presented as a non-subjective fact about the plaintiff. If it cannot be empirically proven as right or wrong, then it may be classified as an opinion, which is not considered defamation. So remember, when you hear YouTubers say, in my opinion, and you will hear them say that a lot, this is why. And going on, the statement must involve a third party or publication. Explanation is if the statement is made directly to the person it revolves around, then it is not defamatory. In other words, if I'm saying it to your face, then it's not defamatory, okay? If there's no one else around and it's just me and you speaking to each other. The defendant must have malice intent when making the statement. The explanation is the defendant must be aware that the statement is false and negligently disregards its truthfulness. The statement must inflict serious harm which can be proven. And the explanation is this includes monetary losses, decrease in wages, unemployment, or emotional distress, as well as damage to one's reputation and ability to work. So in a nutshell, it all comes down to truth or false. When you're making statements, make sure that if you're saying them as they are an actual fact and you know it is a fact, make sure you have proof to back that up. If you are pointing out your opinion or your thought or your theory, make sure that you also point that out. Never say this is a fact if you can't prove it is a fact. Never make a statement saying that you know what's going to happen unless you have proof that you already know the outcome of whatever. Be very careful. There again, this happens a lot on YouTube, and there has been several cases and lawsuits brought for slander and defamation against YouTubers. I always say, in my opinion, I always say this isn't confirmed, this isn't fact, this is simply my theory or my opinion. And on the flip side of the coin, if it is true, even if it is terrible and nobody likes what you're saying, then even though it may be a very unpopular opinion, if you're basing it from a true fact, then you have nothing to worry about. Also, as far as public figures goes, yes, many people become public figures without even intending to. And yes, that would be a lot in the true crime community, not just for the YouTuber themselves, but as well as the ones they're speaking of, the ones involved in the crime. Sometimes you will even hear the YouTuber say, well, we're not going to speak of another creator's name. We're not going to mention any names. Sometimes they will even revert to initials, which there again, that's not really helping anything, because I believe there could be backbite to that as well. Not saying I know there could, but I believe with a good attorney that wouldn't do any good anyway. But a lot of them will just say we're not naming a certain person. If you don't actually name them and say their name, then you're safe as well. So there's my 2 cents in this. Now, the reason I even did this video is reading through the comments about this lawsuit that took place, as well as listening to the defendant's side of the story. I would have to go back and listen to said videos that she actually was issued this lawsuit about. I have not heard them. I do not know how she worded her things on her videos. I just don't know. Period. And I do not know this YouTuber. I have never heard of her until today. Okay, guys. I hope I was able to help some of you a little bit. I was confused myself with this lawsuit. And so I went in and I dug a little deeper and bringing out the actual laws. And I know many people are trying to understand the difference between our freedom of speech, how it's actually contradicted by the laws of slander, defamation, character assassination, and things of that nature. And I hope I was able to answer that for you here. Never, ever say anything that you do not know as truth. Always make sure you state that is your opinion. Always. Because you never know when a lawsuit can hit you. Have a great day, night, evening, wherever you may be. And until next time, this is Unjustified.